करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Namaste and welcome to our first session of the Upanishads series. Thank you very much for joining, and I'm so excited, and probably this is the most serious studies we have undertaken so far. We have been studying Bhagavad Gita, we have been studying Yoga Sutra, and we studied some of the Prakarana Granthas related to Vedanta. But now it's time for us to get started with the most fascinating study of our spiritual series.
What? Your video is on.
I request, if you're not talking, please mute. This sessions will be recorded for future reference, and it will be published in our YouTube channel. And we will get started. And first, today's agenda, what we are going to cover is, we'll talk about this particular program. And since this is a very serious study, I have a few suggestions. If you can follow that, that would be great. Then we will cover only one topic: why, what, and how. Why should I study Upanishads? What is the benefit? What exactly is this Upanishad we are going to study? And finally, if I am convinced I should be studying Upanishad, what is the process by which I can study these Upanishads? So our format is going to be, we will cover 40 minutes, 45 minutes, the topic, and keep 20 minutes open for open discussion. With that, let's get started. Before that, one announcement: if you're not speaking, please keep yourself on mute so that it will be convenient to all. First, we will start about describing about this program. The purpose of this program is to introduce probably the greatest spiritual wisdom of the world, one of the greatest spiritual wisdom. I cannot claim exclusivity, which are the Upanishads. The vision of the Upanishad, we are not going to talk about verse by verse of the Upanishad. That will be the second iteration. Once we cover the series, we will take up each one of these Upanishad and go line by line, verse by verse. But now our goal is to give the vision of each of the 10 principal Upanishads. That is the purpose. And we will be covering this in approximately 36 sessions. So every Upanishad may take, depending upon the size, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 sessions. That's it. So all these Upanishads, all the principal Upanishads, I will talk what exactly is the principal Upanishads, everything. It will be discussed. So a few requests: please be regular. I know that we cannot keep regular every day. If you miss a session, please listen to the recording And if you need to talk to me personally, please do, because it's important to have that continuity. It is a very systematic study. We are going to build on top of one after the other. Second thing is, please try to take notes, because it is proven that taking handwritten notes is always better to retain. So since this is a serious study, and if you want to keep this knowledge with you, it is my request, please take notes. And you have 1 week, please reflect whatever we studied during that week, because it is very important. It is not just listening and going away. You want to reflect upon that. And if anything, if you cannot connect the dot anywhere, let's discuss. And finally, please ask questions. We are reserving 20 minutes for Q&A. So ask any questions related to Upanishads or Vedanta. No guarantee I can answer, because I'm not a master, but definitely I will try my best. And if I cannot, I will definitely get the answers for you. And as part of this series, we will invite some of these great masters, probably in the middle or after covering a few Upanishads. We will invite some of the greatest masters of our time and have some open discussion also. So if you invest a little bit, the study will be very beneficial. That's the first topic I wanted to cover. And now let's go to the actual subject matter of today's discussion. So let's start with the first topic. Why should we study Upanishads? Most of the times people approach religious textbooks or spiritual textbooks for a little bit of consolation here and there, right? But here we are studying Upanishads. So before we getting started, we need to understand, right? What means, why we are studying the Upanishads. Shankaracharya tells, Prayojanam anuddishya na mandopi pravurtate. Without understanding or seeing a benefit, even the greatest fool will not take any undertaking. So you need to, this is Shankaracharya's commentary on Upanishad. I'm going to quote exactly where it is when we come to. Please remember this. Without seeing some benefit, even the greatest fool will not take any undertaking. So you might be raising an eye. Most of the times when you listen to Vedanta, you think that don't expect result. That is not correct. You need to see what exactly you are going to get out of this study. So that's the first point. So before we undertake any study, we need to understand the benefit. The pramana for that is Shankaracharya's his own words. Prayojanam anuddishya na mantopi pravurtate. So that's very important. Second thing is that anything we do in our life, we need to have a goal or purpose. What exactly is the purpose? You expect certain benefit, and whatever you are doing, it should be towards that goal. Very important. So if I'm studying Upanishad, before you start your study, you want to understand, why am I studying this Upanishad? Is it just to get a consolation here? Oh, I'm in a very bad mood at work. My boss shouted at me. So I came back home. I wanted to get some consolation. I opened the textbook and open a verse here and there and get some consolation. Is that the purpose? Or am I studying this so that I will get all the blessings from the God or some material benefits? Is that the purpose? Or I know that my life here is limited, so I want to invest something now so that I can reap the benefit after my death. In other words, am I studying this for going to heaven? Not at all. First of all, remove all these ideas. And suppose somebody say that you need to blindly believe these rishis. That is wrong. In Valmiki Ramayana, there is a beautiful verse. It's brilliant. It tells, Yukti Yuktam Vachograhyam Balatapi Shukadapi Anyat Api Nagrahyam Sakshat Brihaspate Savaja. It means Yukti Yuktam Vachograhyam. If something is presented with yukti, logic and common sense, and a clear step-by-step instruction, even if it is coming from a bala means a child, even it is coming from a child, you have to take it. Rama's words, again pramana. And what else he says? Anyat means if it is not yukti yukta, if it is not based on facts and logic, if it is completely against logic, if it doesn't make any sense, don't follow it, reject it, even if it is coming from whom? Brihaspati, the god of the Devas. This is our culture. Our culture never told us to believe something blindly. So first you need to understand and believe. Of course, you have to have faith. Faith is what? Faith and blind belief are totally different. You need to have faith in the words of teacher, in the words of masters, in the words of scriptures, but that should not be a blind belief. You should be convinced. So these are 2 points I wanted to mention. Even a fool will not take any undertaking without understanding the benefit. So let's not go down below the dignity of the fools, right? So we need to understand why I'm studying this. Second thing is, I need to be logical and I need to try to understand, because this is not a blind belief. Because X said you should blindly follow, that is not the approach of the Upanishad. Okay, so let's continue. So now, what did we establish? We need to understand, why am I studying Upanishad? What is the benefit? So for that, we need to go back and try to understand, what is our goal of life? If I ask X, he may say, I want to become the CEO of a company. If I ask Y, she may say, what? I want my daughter to be married. If I ask C, she may say, my child, let him go to an Ivy League. Another person may say, $1 million, meaning let me win a lottery. Another person may say, what? Let me be healthy. I'm suffering from some health. So if you look, apparently the goal seems to be different. Apparently the goal seems to be different, because we do have a faculty of choice. Because animals, they also act. Humans, they also act. But animals, what happens? You can most probably predict their behavior. It's kind of programmed. That is how the animals behave. Whereas human beings, you have a choice. And using that faculty of choice, you put a lot of goals. You think that this is my goal, invest and get this money, or get my daughter married, or send my child to Ivy League, or get my health fixed. But if you go underlying or one level below all these goals, let's take the first goal. Why should I want to become the CEO of a company? Because if you go 1 level, 2 level, 3 level, I will say that it makes me happy. Why should I want my daughter to go to Ivy League? You may say, it's my daughter. Why? Why your daughter going to Ivy League is a goal for you? Ultimately, if you take 2 steps, 3 steps down, where it exactly comes down to, it will make me happy. If I want my diseases to be cured, why? It will make me happy. So Even though we say that there are multiple goals like security, happiness, dharma, everything, all that can be boiled down into one goal: seeking happiness. Right from the unicellular organism to the most sophisticated human being follow one thing in their life. If I borrow the language of the Upanishad, I will use a few Sanskrit here, but don't worry, I'll translate that immediately, right? So don't get frightened with Sanskrit. Wherever possible, we will use the Pramanika, the actual words, and then we will translate it. So this is an advanced class, so please give me that liberty. I try to not to do that in our other classes, but here we will use a little bit. So, but we will translate translate in such a way that you understand that. So, per the vision of Upanishads, there is only one goal for all human beings. It is said that Atyantika Dukkha Nivritti. Atyantika Dukkha Nivritti. Niratishaya Sukha Prapti. This is the one goal of every action we do. This is the one goal of every action we do. Whatever we do in life, it is directed towards this. Either to remove my sorrows or to gain some contentment or the happiness. So this is the Parama Purushartha. This is the goal of every human being. Again, borrowing the language of Upanishad, it is said that Atyandika Dukkha Nivritti and Niratishaya Sukha Prapti is the goal of all the human being. Now, if that is true, you all may agree. Means, I don't think anybody here won't be disagreeing with that. If seeking happiness is my goal, where exactly I should be seeking that happiness? This is what I do from morning till evening. Why am I doing this class? Because this class will make me happy. Otherwise, do you think that I will do it? Why some people doing charity? Every goal, you may present it as different reasons. Everything you do is to make you happy. What exactly make you happy may vary from person to person, right? But that it makes you happy is with something. So now the vision of the Upanishad is very clear. You can seek this happiness in two different areas. One is called, or in other words, the happiness you derive can be called in two ways or two categories. You can put that. The first category is called Vishaya Anandam, and the second category is known as Atma Anandam. So let's understand that. So that is the next topic. So Vishaya Anandam, which is known as the happiness from external entities or external objects. Let's start with that. That's what most of the times you do. If you think what makes you happy right now, usually the happiness is, let's take all the goals we said, $1 million. That means, what is that? Something externally, right? An object or a place or a person or a situation. The presence of an object or a place or a person or a situation is what gives me some happiness. And such happiness are known as Vishaya Ananda. Vishaya Ananda means happiness from external objects. Example, I feel happy when I'm with my daughter. So the presence of a person. I feel happy when I go to Bali, a particular place. When I feel happy when I get promoted, a situation. Right. A person, place, situation, or an object makes me happy. I feel when I get a new house, an object. This is known as Vishaya Anandaha. No doubt, it gives me some happiness. No doubt. And the entire world, most of the people, most of the times, go after this Vishaya Ananda. This is not to say that this is not bad or anything like that. Definitely it gives you some happiness. That is why you go after that. But we need to understand there are some minor problems for this Vishaya Ananda. What is the first problem? It is derived from external sources. I feel happy when my daughter calls me every day. I feel happy when my daughter stays with me every day. Let's say that if she don't call me for a few days. Let's say that if she don't come to my house for a few days, I don't get that happiness. So that's the first point. It is derived from outside and it comes. It was not there at T, but at T1 it came. So what happens? It is something that is created. It was not always there. It is created because of the presence of a person, place, or an object, right? So that is the first point. The second point is impermanent. I feel so happy when I got promoted. How long? Few days, it went down. Interestingly, they studied the level of happiness for the people who wins lottery ticket. This is a good, you can Google it. You can see the graph also. It's very interesting. So the happiness was in going like this, but the moment you get the lottery, there is a huge spike. And after a few days, what happens? It comes down. Second thing is that I feel happy when the child is with me. But when the child goes after the marriage, and if she is not coming back, what is going to happen? This type of analysis in Upanishad is called Anvaya Vratireka. This is the analysis, right? You see two different scenarios and it will show you what exactly it is. So this Vishayanandaha, the first problem is it is coming, it is Akandukam, then it is Anityam, and the third thing is it is Dukkha Mishritam. It is mixed with sorrow, meaning you might be anxious sometimes, right? You think the fear of losing, and it was very difficult for you to achieve what you achieved. It is even more difficult for you to sustain what you achieved. And it is very difficult for you when it goes away. And that fear and that sadness will be always there. And that is, these are the characteristics of Vishaya Ananda. The second kind of Anandaha Upanishad talks is Atma Anandaha. Atmanandaha. Atmananda is the joy or the contentment you derive when you, the joy or contentment you find within. Each one of us every day talk about the real happiness is not the happiness outside. We all profess the real happiness is happiness within. But we never experience it. It's only lip service. But let's say that if there is a real happiness which is coming within, it is not that something you created. Whereas the promotion, I had to create it. Whereas the Atmanandaha, the joy within, it is said that that is there always. And second thing is that will you lose it? It's always there. Because it is natural, it is always there, right? Then the third one is, it is unconditional. You don't lose it. It is permanent, and it is not with the presence of an object or a place or a thing. So these are the two potential sources of happiness. But the tragedy of the modern world is that they think that these happiness, a permanent happiness, uninterrupted happiness, can be found from this Vishayananda, which is impossible. You need to enjoy the Vishayas, but with an understanding that it cannot give me permanent happiness. It cannot be worry-free happiness. So if you are a wise person, where exactly you invest your time? Of course, you need Vishaya, sense objects, for a different purpose. Swami Dayananda, one of the greatest teachers of the modern world, Vedanta, he always say that comfort and happiness are two different things. The Vishayas will give you comfort, and you need comfort. But if you don't know how to tap the happiness within, what happens? You will be comfortably happy, comfortably unhappy. And if you know how to tap the happiness within, you might be in uncomfortable situation, you will be happy. So if you're a wise person, you would definitely, of course, you will not stop pursuing Vishayas, because in the modern world, when you live outside, definitely you need money, you need promotion, you need Ivy League, you need to have all these things taken care of. But along with that, I will try to tap that reservoir of happiness. It is lying inside me. And if you are interested to tap that happiness within, that is why you are studying Upanishad. Not to go to heaven, not to get a little bit consolation here and there. I want to experience that happiness, which is lying within me. I wanted to find that Atmananda. So that is why we are studying Upanishad. Very important point. I am not studying Upanishad not to uplift the Hindu culture. I am studying Upanishad for myself. I want to study and see what exactly is that Atmananda. So that is the first topic we covered. So let's go and try to see the next topic, which is why Upanishad? Next, what exactly is the Upanishad? We said why we are studying Upanishad is we want to tap into that reservoir of happiness. If that is the case, how do I find that Atmananda? So Upanishad makes a statement. This is like a hypothesis. You have to take it and put your effort. And when you put the effort, you will see a glimpse of it so that you can move. The Upanishad tells the nature of the Atmananda. It is your own true nature. Who you are, your essential characteristics is nothing but Atma, and you don't need to create anything new to experience that Atmananda or that ultimate happiness. This is very important. It's like, so what exactly is the problem? The problem is you don't know yourself completely. When you don't know yourself completely, you cannot utilize yourself completely. The best example that comes to my mind is a friend told me, out of his love for his parents, he brought a brand new iPhone and gifted to his parents. And after 1 year, he went to India and he saw that, how is the phone? It's fantastic. What do you do with that? I make calls. So this person, when he goes out in the night, he take a torch. He still use an old tape recorder to listen to music. He take a separate GPS to go outside. He carry a separate organizer along with the iPhone. Why? He is looking for solutions outside, right? He wants a GPS, he wants a tape recorder, he wants a whatever organizer, he wants a computer to check the email. Why? He don't know completely what he has. Like that, we know a few capacities of ourselves. We know this body can be used, or I can do so many things. I can study a poem quickly. I can solve a problem quickly. I can create buildings. I can discover wonderful things. That is fantastic. But that is nothing compared to your true capacity. So when you don't know yourself completely, you will be underutilizing your capacity, and you will not be tapping your own potential and your own assets. Right? It's like a person who begs. He was carrying a bag. He didn't know his father gave him that bag. And he was begging for living. One day, what happened? This bag fell down. He saw that the bag had the most precious jewels. So why he had to do begging? Because he didn't realize what we have. So we have that reservoir of happiness, infinite happiness, the potential to tap it. But we don't, just like that, the person who begs, carrying out, asking $1, $2, 1 cent, 10 cents, when he owns millions of dollars. We are like that. So I don't know my nature. So I need to understand myself. If I don't know something, if I want to understand something, I need to use a means of knowledge. Shankaracharya tells, without knowledge, without vichara or knowledge, you cannot understand yourself. Yourself might be the ultimate source of happiness. Yourself would be the most precious consciousness. But if you don't know that, there is no value. He gives the beautiful example. There might be a brilliant sight in front of you, but if there is no light, what is the value? Right? If there is no value of the brilliant sight in front of me, if there is no light. So there is no value for that infinite amount of happiness lying within me if I don't know it. So you need to employ a means of knowledge to know that true nature of yourself. Now, what exactly is the means of knowledge I should employ to know myself? Let's say that if I want to see Bhuwanaji who is sitting in front of me, what should be the means of knowledge I should be using? I should use my eyes, right? And if I want to enjoy a beautiful music, or if I want to hear the news today or a podcast, I should be using my ears. If I want to understand the taste of a wonderful food which was brought to me, I need to use my tongue. If there is a beautiful perfume, I go to the Macy store or the perfume store and they put this, I need to employ my nose. I cannot understand the taste of an object by using the nose. I cannot understand the color and the form of an object by using the ear. I cannot understand the sound quality of an object by using the eyes. So, usage of the appropriate means of knowledge is a prerequisite for gaining knowledge, right? Let me repeat that once again. The usage of the appropriate means of knowledge is critical for me to gain knowledge of a substance. I cannot use my eyes to understand the taste of an object. Likewise, I cannot use my nose to understand the quality of a song. So in our scriptures, this means of knowledge is known as pramana. That is the technical term used. Pramana. Prama karanam. Karanam means instrument. Prama means knowledge. So that instrument which gives me the correct knowledge is known as pramana. So the pramana for the color and forms is eyes. The pramana for the taste is tongue. So this is one set of pramana. So in Vedanta, there are 6 pramanas, but for the sake of convenience, let me reduce that to 3 on 3 categories. One is known as pratyaksha. Pratyaksha means whatever I can see, taste, smell, touch directly or hear directly. So whatever I can experience through my sense organs is known as direct experience. Is that the only means of knowledge? You know that the sunlight will take only 8 minutes from sun to reach from sun to earth. Do you have the direct experience? Absolutely no. You know that the earth is round, but have you seen that directly? Of course, now the satellite images are there, but before that you found that out. You don't know about a lot of things. So that is the second means of knowledge called inference. Inference. So from whatever you can experience, you can extrapolate, you can understand, connect the dots, and create new knowledge. So that is also a valid means of knowledge. All the scientific discoveries, everything in the science goes with this pratyaksha and anumana. But the Upanishad tells what? You cannot employ these 2 means to know the true nature of yourself. Just like I cannot use my eyes to understand the taste of a food, I cannot use the pramana of pratyaksha and the pramana of anumana to know myself. For that, I need a third pramana, and that pramana is known as agamas or Vedas, or to be very specific, Upanishads. So what is Upanishad? Upanishad is a means of knowledge to know myself. Once again, Upanishad is a means of knowledge. Just like I use my eyes to see the person in front of me or the object in front of me, I use Upanishad, or I need to use Upanishad, or I need to use this scripture to see my own nature. Why should I see my own nature? To discover that Atmananda. Why I need to discover the Atmananda? Because that is the ultimate goal of every human being. So to fulfill my goal, to fulfill the highest goals of my life, I need to discover this Atmananda. And that Atma, to discover that Atmananda, I need to know my true nature. And the means of knowledge for knowing my own true nature is Upanishad. That is the second topic. Now let's go to the third topic. So what is the process of using? Because if it is eyes, I need to use a process, right? I need to open my eyes and I need to make sure that I'm looking at the correct object and there is enough light. Those are some of the conditions and process. So what exactly is the process you need to use for using the means of knowledge called Upanishad. This is beautifully explained in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Lot of masters said, but the best way, the best description of explaining how this Upanishad needs to be used in understanding myself is given in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. We will see that. We are going to see the summary. In a conversation between two people, Yajnavalkya and Maitreyi. First of all, let me just give you one thing. You might have heard a lot of things, right? Women should not chant Veda. Women are not allowed to do these things. But here, look at the conversation. This is Vedas. Upanishad means it is Vedas. This is a conversation between sage Yajnavalkya and with his wife Maitreyi. At least some of you may ask, sage can marry? Of course the sage can marry. Right? Most of the sages are householders, not sannyasis. Of course, there are a few sages here and there, but most of the sages are householders. The details will be published as a video in our Sanatana Dharma course, but please understand, sannyasis and maharshis are different. So what happens is, Yajnavalkya was one of the most popular sage of his time. He had a lot of money because he used to win all the debates. He was the greatest scholar of his time. And he accumulated a lot of wealth, fame, and everything. And he had two wives, Maitreyi and Kartyayani. Somewhere it is said that Gargi, it doesn't matter, but two wives. So one day Yajnavalkya called both of these wives and said, what I'm going to do now is, I want to go and seek this Atmananda. So I'm going to give all my wealth to both of you. You both live happily using this wealth and enjoy. So Maitreyi was very intelligent. She asked a counter question to Yajnavalkya. What is that? You have all this money, and if that money can give you this much happiness, and you are leaving that money and going and seeking something else, that something else seems to be more valuable than this money. So can you teach me? That is the context of this Upanishad. So brilliant. So that is the time Yajnavalkya says, yes, I was already impressed with you, but this question and your interest in knowing this Atmananda makes me so happy. And he lays out a plan how to study this spiritual knowledge. So he said, Atma vare shrotavyaha manthavyaha nidithyasidavyaha. Atma vare shrotavyaha mantavyaha nidithyasanavyaha. Because this knowledge needs to be studied properly. Because this study is an intellectual process also. So you need to think properly. There is a problem with thinking. You know that, right? So if the thinking is not in the correct direction, instead of benefit, it will make you sleepless. It will make you anxiety. There is a beautiful verse in Sanskrit. Chitayamscha chintayamscha bindu matram nivartate. So the difference between chita and chinta is only one dot. If you write in Devanagari or Malayalam or Sanskrit, the difference between chinta and chita is only one bindu. And then he tells what? Chita dahadi nirjivam. Chinta dahadi jivanam. The chita will burn the dead body, whereas chinta, it will burn the living person. So you need to be very proper. What do you think? So that is why this process of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana is given out. So what are they? Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Sorry. Yeah. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. The first thing is you need to listen to this teaching from a proper master for a sufficient period of time. How can you understand something without listening to this? So you need to have a process of listening this from a teacher. Suppose you read and try to understand, there is a very good chance that you get confused or misinterpreted, because the terrain you are traveling is not a familiar terrain. So you need to have that guidance. Somebody who is trained traditionally needs to explain this. So that is Shravana. Then what you need to do? Manana. Remember, I said you cannot take it blindly. What was the logic given by Shankaracharya, right? So Rama, what was the logic? If something valid comes from a small child, you should take it with reverence. And if something nonsense comes from, even if it is coming from Brihaspati, you need to reject it. So you need to study whatever you heard or whatever you studied and connect the dots. And if there is anything, question it. That is the manana. Nididhyasana means, so even if you theoretically means know that I am the Atma, this is the Atmananda, what happens? Your habit is just the other way, because over a period of time, I started believing that I am the body, the mind, etc. So even if I hear about Atma, I understand about Atma, I may not get it. So you need to have this Nididhyasanam. So Nididhyasanam is a particular kind of special meditation known as Vedantic meditation, where you try to contemplate the nature of the Atma, just to remove these habitual misunderstanding. But for me to do this Nididhyasanam, I need to have Shravanam and Mananam completed. With this, you will discover the Atmanandaha. But a word of caution here, we said, right, when you use the appropriate means of knowledge to understand an object, it needs to have the sufficient condition. Suppose I am going to use my eyes to see the temple in front of me. I presuppose that there is light. Suppose I want to listen to what you are saying, I should assume that there is no noise here. Go to the Penn Station, New York, and stay there. Two people talk, you won't even hear when an Amtrak train goes. That is the classic example. So you are assuming certain conditions to be met. So for you to pursue this Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, a particular state of mind is pre-required. That is a pure mind and a controlled mind. So Chitta Shuddhi and Chitta Sthiti are the prerequisites for studying the Upanishad. Don't ask me how to get it. We are studying that in the Bhagavad Gita left and right. Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga. So the Upanishad Pathya Pattadi or Upanishad scheme of study is 3 steps. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, and assuming that you have already done Karma Yoga, which is the proper work with proper attitude, and Upasana Yoga, which is meditative practices for a sufficient period of time. So this is the why, what, and how. Let's quickly recap and then go to the Q&A. So let's go to the summary. What is the summary? Why I am studying the Upanishad? Because I want freedom from suffering. Atyandika dukkha nivritti niratishaya sukha prapti. That is the goal. What I need to do to gain that Atyandika dukkha nivritti niratishaya sukha prapti? We said the happiness are of 2 kinds. One is called Vishayanandaha. The other one is called Atmanandaha. And the problem with the Vishayanandaha, they are born at a particular time, they are impermanent, and then they are dukkha mishritam. They are mixed with worries and anxieties. Whereas Atmanandaha is natural, it is always available to me, It is permanent and it is not dukkha mishrita. So it is better to seek Atmanandaha if you want a permanent, everlasting contentment. If I am dependent upon X, Y, and Z for my happiness, what happens? I am risking myself. Swami Chinmayananda used to say, don't put the key of your happiness in somebody else's mouth. If she smiles, I'm happy. If she is not smiling, I'm sad. So that's a problem. So this is Atmananda is what I need to pursue because it helps me to achieve my ultimate goal of life. And then what is next? How to know the Atmananda? I need to know my own true nature. And for knowing my own true nature, I need to have a means of knowledge. And what is that means of knowledge? Upanishads. Upanishad is the pramana to know myself. And finally, how do I study Upanishad? Through Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. That is what I wanted to cover in the first lesson. And let's go back and let me